Guys, Caleb's Cards here, coming at you with a military autograph video. These are letters that I received through Scott Masters. He's a history professor at Crestwood Preparatory College in Toronto, Canada. And what he does is he likes to interview World War II veterans, Korean War, Vietnam, you name it, from his not only Canada, but the US and all around. And sometimes he's able to ask for autographs from these people he interviews, and they are willing to send something my way, and as well as to a few other people. And I just kind of help Scott try to find new people to interview, some new addresses, help him out with some stamps even, so he can send his letters out. And he just, he sends these my way. So it's always fun. You never know when you might be getting one in the mail, and it's always cool. So I do have. I was gonna do two, but I actually decided to do three. So um, we'll do three. This one doesn't have a letter with it, I don't believe. I don't think we've done this one, but he did send a one of his cards, and he did sign that. It's kind of hard to see. It's right here. But we're gonna start with Corporal John D. Foy. He was in Company A, 1st Battalion, 347th Infantry Regiment, 87th Infantry Division, and he's a World War II veteran. John arrived with his unit on October 22nd, 1944, in Europe and was in combat in three different campaigns: the Ardennes, Central Europe, and the Rhineland. Of those, the Ardennes battle, also known as the Battle of the Bulge, stuck with him the most. We were in that field getting ready to jump off and attack. The Germans were shelling our position. The ground was heavy, heaving up and down with the violence of the explosions. That was when I looked over to Harvey Wilson next to me feeding my machine gun. I'm yelling at him, "Feed them faster, Harvey! Faster!" I didn't get an answer from him, and I reached over with my foot and I kicked him. "Harvey!" When I looked over, he was lying dead. So these are cards from the bestfoundation.org, and there's tons of stories. They also have an address, so I don't know if maybe they would forward to people, but they have yeah, tons of stories from World War II veterans, and they give them these cards, and they also included a business card. So I do have his address and phone number and all this stuff, but I don't want to like show that on camera just because I don't have permission. But if you wanted to hear his interview with Scott, the link is down below to what he does in his website, and there's also links to the Veterans Breakfast Club, who also they will interview veterans from all sorts of eras, and they usually have a live stream every Monday, I think Friday and Wednesday, or maybe Thursday. Um, and the Monday is like the kind of like a could be anything. There's not always necessarily a theme, but sometimes there is. So yeah, my Zoom hasn't been working for quite some time, so I haven't been able to join. But sometimes I'll watch on like Facebook Live or YouTube Live, and that's usually where I get to see those and hear the stories. So next up, we actually have two letters in this one. But this is Gary Willard. Um, so he is, I believe, a Korean, either Korean War or Vietnam. Guess we'll find out when we read here, but it's probably Vietnam. Yeah. So Gary Willard was born June 24th, 1939, in Cornwall, Ontario. He grew up largely in the town of Winchester, not too far from Ottawa. As a young boy, Gary remembers the soldiers coming home after the Second World War. He also remembers the cadets and drum and bugle corps from the time, and summers spent on his grandfather's farm. Given that he grew up in the 50s, Gary recalls as well the TV and music of the time and the band where he played the drums. When the time for university came, Gary chose to attend Queen's University in Kingston, where he began his studies in medicine. He completed that degree and went on to do his internship at Toronto Western Hospital, followed by time in northern Manitoba working with the local indigenous population. He returned to Toronto in 1964 and 65, continuing his surgical residency. By this time, the situation in Vietnam was beginning to escalate, which Gary recalls following closely on the news. In 1968, the Tet Offensive began, resulting in very heavy casualties, and a call went out for surgeons from neutral countries to come aid those in need. Gary heard this appeal via the Canadian Red Cross, and he and a friend came forward, working through the Red Cross and the Department of External Affairs. In short order, Gary was on a plane bound for Saigon. Upon arrival, they were deployed to I Corps near the DMZ, and Gary was made an American Marine. As such, he and his fellow surgeons were in the combat zone, and on a number of occasions they were fired up and forced to return fire. Their mandate was to treat Vietnamese civilians, but Gary and the other Canadian surgeons took patients from all sides. Gary presents many of those compelling stories where he and other surgeons worked to save soldiers and civilians, many of whom had suffered traumatic injuries. Gary spent the better part of a year in Vietnam providing humanitarian assistance and witnessing firsthand the brutality and complications of war. He saw a few other areas in Southeast Asia before returning to Canada, including a memorable arrival in Thailand. Back in Canada, he went on to the career that awaited him, working in Toronto and other locations in Ontario. He married and raised a family and made his own contribution to post-war Ontario. And again, he signed down below, Dr. Gary Willard. And he just included kind of a extra pamphlet about him. Um, so Dr. Gary L. Willard is a combat surgeon. He has a book called Into the Dragon's Jaws, which you can buy. Details the exciting adventures and experiences of a young Canadian Red Cross combat casualty surgeon who volunteered to assist Vietnamese war wounded following the Tet Offensive in South Vietnam. The intensity and drama of this book are enhanced by many photographs illustrating surgical care in oft-times dangerous and volatile circumstances. Dr. Willard describes his role as a trauma surgeon candidly. Some stories are heartwarming, others heartbreaking. Such is the pathos of war. Um, and it just kind of goes on to reiterate pretty much what we just read. But I don't know, looking at the picture there, it looks like either he's still working as a surgeon or even just up until recently. I'm not sure. So that's pretty cool. So Dr. Gary Willard from Canada went to help via the Red Cross. So really cool. So we got a Vietnam War veteran, we got a World War II veteran, and now we're going to hear from a World War II um, a lady. I think she's looks. I'm trying to see. Did she serve in the Marines? Guess we'll find out when we read a little. But this is Emily Drake, and she signed down below. I'm just gonna let you look at the pictures there a little bit. So she was born July 4th, 1925. Wow. So she can be like, well, I guess she can't, but she can be like, what do you think I was? Born on the 4th of July? Because she was. No. But she was born on July 4th, 1925 in Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania. Her parents had immigrated from Vilna in the period before the First World War. And Emily remembers growing up speaking Polish at home. Her childhood took place during the Great Depression, but too young to be aware of pressing economic and political matters. She remembers playing in the streets. She was 16 when the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor took place, and when her two older brothers and sister-in-law joined up, Emily wanted to as well. She was too young to enlist, so she lied about her age, but her parents ended up signing on her behalf. Her first task was to take a course in stenotype, and the Army ended up using those skills in interviews, so she was in the Army. For men, going through the dependency discharge process, so she was a stenographer. Emily recalls hearing some shocking stories during that time, not the kind of a thing a 20-year-old girl had heard before. She recalls many other episodes, a trip to New York, where a trip to Vanderbilt Mansion led instead to a seedy Bowery Hotel, and a difficult Christmas time trip to Florida. As the war came to an end, Emily's facility with languages worked to her advantage. when she came into the employ of the Polish embassy in Washington, D.C. She worked there for 6 years, followed by another 6 year stint at the VA in Pittsburgh. Then Emily learned about a civilian opportunity in the United States Air Force, and she was off to Germany. Her boss later transferred to Langley, Virginia, bringing Emily back to the U.S., and retirement and San Diego soon followed. Emily Drake was interviewed by Scott Masters at her home in Pittsburgh in August 2023. We just pictured it again. Well, that's very cool. So we got to hear multiple perspectives there from different conflicts from men and women. That's really cool. And we still have, I think, still got at least potentially one more video next week, unless more come in. So looking forward to that. So um, thanks so much everybody for watching and for the support on these series. For those history lovers out there, the military lovers. Again, thank you to your service for Mrs. Drake, Mr. Willard, and Mr. Foy. I really appreciate it. And I thank you so much for even willing to sign something and send something my way. Um, definitely cherish some of my collection. And it's always awesome to flip back through that book and just see all these people, all these stories, and keeping them alive, and then coming on here on video and sharing them with you, so more people can learn about them. And again, in case you're interested, Scott's links are down below. The Veterans Breakfast Club links are down below. You can check out many more videos. I can't remember if I made a playlist for these or not. Maybe I need to, so then they're all together. Because we have like season 1, season 2, and kind of season 3 of this. So there's all kinds of videos for you to watch if you are interested. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys all later. Bye.